There's a lot that goes into marketing, and it's bigger than just paying for ad space or getting your name on the side of a bus or on a billboard. It's about how the public perceives you, how people feel about you, what's the culture around your brand. So when it comes to strategy, it's really important that you strategize.
Members of the Entrepreneur Chamber, we have a special guest with us today. I've been looking forward to this interview for quite some time. Our special guest will provide our members with insight and tips that will make you reevaluate how you perceive digital marketing. She is the CEO of a professional marketing firm, the Hustle Lab. Please help me welcome Miss Akeya Fortson Brown.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
yes. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, I'm doing well. I certainly appreciate you taking out the time and speaking with us today. And I personally use your service, so I'm going to remain as objective as I can. But trust me, I'm highly satisfied with your service. You're a professional. And I recommend your services and your agency when people are looking to take their marketing to the next level.
Thank you.
So without further delay, just tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Hello, everybody. So, as mentioned before, my name is Akeya. I am the CEO and lead marketing consultant of the Hustle Lab. And although the Hustle Lab started in August of 2021, this is not my first business, not my first rodeo. So, I've been experimenting with entrepreneurship for a little over like 10 years now.
Wow.
And I have like 5 years of experience in marketing. So it feels right, it feels good. Yeah, it's a little bit about me.
Oh, that's fantastic. So you've been bitten by the entrepreneur bug, as they say, at a fairly young age.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. So how did you come up with the name, the Hustle Lab? That's a unique name. I like that name. So how did you come up with that name?
Thank you. So honestly, I'm a big person about authenticity. Like any business that I've started, I've always done it from my heart. I feel like if you're not passionate about what you do, it kind of just becomes tedious or like another chore, another thing you just like have to do. And
Yes.
so with the Hustle Lab, really at the heart of it, on my graduation cap when I graduated high school, it was basically saying reach the world but touch the hood first.
Mhm.
And another part of that quote was, it's always the hustle and the heart that sets you apart. And that's where the name came from. It was just like, it just felt right. It just
Mhm.
embodied all of that, where I come from and who I am. So that's really where the name came from.
So we're going to dive right into what you do. And it may seem like I guess, a generic question, but overall, I think there's a lot of misconceptions about marketing. So let's just begin with what is marketing and like what is a marketing plan? And does it consist of strategies and tactics? Please explain.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of misconceptions about marketing, honestly, because a lot of people think marketing is the advertising piece. It's the paying to get your name out there. But marketing, there's a whole lot to it. So there's the public relations piece, like, how do people feel about you? How are you perceived? Then there, of course, is the advertising piece. And then there's a lot of other components that you can tap into. Like there's a such thing called cause marketing. So when you see, trying to think of a brand, Tom's, they used to be a shoe brand really popular. It was like buy a pair, give a pair. That was a cause to kids who don't have shoes. When you buy a pair, Tom donates a pair. So there's a lot that goes into marketing, and it's bigger than just paying for ad space or getting your name on the side of a bus or on a billboard. It's about how the public perceives you, how people feel about you, what's the culture around your brand. So when it comes to strategy, it's really important that you strategize, because not every person is the same. Not every person has the same needs. So when it comes to your business and your customers, your strategy is how you own that, how you come into the market and you say, this is my lane, this is my corner. And as I expand this is our way of doing this. Like I'm not like anyone else in the market. And that's a big part of marketing. So there is a lot of strategy, which is like your overall mapping of how you're going to get from A to B. And then tactics within that, which are the individual steps that you're taking in between A and B to achieve whatever it is. So to get more customers or to have people become loyal customers, to establish a brand name, everything is goal oriented. So you start with the goal, you make the strategy, and you implement the tactics.
That's outstanding, and I'm glad that you broke it down and let people know that there is a difference between strategizing and having tactics, but
Yeah.
they also go hand in hand with your overall marketing plan. And it seems like setting up those goals are very important to that particular marketing
Yeah.
plan. So thank you for breaking that down for us. So, what role nowadays, as we find ourselves in 2022, what role does a digital marketing plan play in the success of a small business?
Honestly, digital marketing is a big part of marketing right now. Only because, and I think a lot of people don't really understand what digital marketing is because it's often confused with social media marketing. But digital marketing is way bigger than that. It's anything in the digital space. So whether that's a website or if you are on social media, or digital marketing can also include what others are writing about you in their blogs or their newspapers or on their Twitter feed. So a lot of it, because so much of our world is online, like the internet is such a huge part of what we do. It's like before I try a new restaurant, I look it up on Yelp first. If I don't know what something is, I Google it first. It's a large part of what we do. So digital marketing is huge right now. And we've seen it throughout the course of time as marketing changes. At one point in time, the radio used to be a big thing, and you had people paying for radio space. And then even now today, it still exists. And then you have television, people pay for commercial space. And what social media marketing, particularly, but digital marketing as a whole offers for small business owners is a chance to get your content out there without having to have the $1 million budget to have to get a commercial space on a TV network or to pay a bunch of money for a radio space. Now you can hop on Instagram and you can start making content for free.
Thank you for explaining that to us. So what are like some of the do's and don'ts in marketing, if you can, give us a few examples?
Yeah, so I'll start with the don'ts. I feel like that's always easy. Avoid this, don't touch the red button, right? So the don't is do not copy someone's marketing strategy. I see that a lot. It's like, oh, McDonald's did this, I'm going to do the same exact thing. Or, that works for them because it's their customers, their product, their business model, right? But you have to, I guess that's a do to the don't. Find what works for you, your customers, your business model. And that might mean thinking out of the box. That might mean that maybe you try something that maybe you refurbish something that maybe was done back in 2000. It can still work, but you have to test it for your customers, your brand, your goals. I think that leads me to another don't, which is essentially don't leave the questions unanswered, even if they're intuitive to you. Even if you feel you know the answer, I guarantee you there's a customer that doesn't. And so when you're posting on social media or you're making your website, write as if this person knows nothing about you and what you do. I think a tip of the trade that I learned when you're writing any type of content, whether that's a caption or a website or anything else, write as if you're writing to a sixth grader to make sure that everybody can understand you.
Make it as simple as possible.
Yeah. And I think that leads me to another don't, which is don't overcomplicate. Like as people, we just don't like complicated. Sometimes the simple things work. And it could just be simply saying, hey, here's this cup and you put liquid in it. Even though it seems intuitive to you, people need to see it. People need to hear it, So I'm finding with digital marketing is sometimes taking a step back and just saying, what are the basic questions here? Coming up with those 10 questions of like, what does someone need to know to understand what I do and maybe think about buying from me? And that always does the thing. So I think if I had to say do's and don'ts, that would definitely be the top ones.
And that's an excellent point, because, it just leads me to say, when you're thinking about marketing and branding and a marketing plan, That's why, to me, it's so important to seek professionals and folks who specialize in this, because, if you're dealing with time versus savings, you could be spending a whole lot of time
Yeah.
marketing a product in front of the wrong people. All right. So, what value will the Hustle Lab bring to a small business or entrepreneur?
So definitely there's a lot, but if I had to consolidate, the first
Mhm,
thing is definitely that marketing expertise, because I
mhm,
take the time to really comb through what it is that you need done, what is it that your customers need, and how are we going to get there. I try to be as transparent as possible, which is like, hey, you have these goals, here's a realistic timeline, here's what I can realistically do. And because marketing isn't magic, right? It's
mhm,
half an art, half a science. Like,
mhm,
we're dealing with people and understanding how their minds work. So, sometimes people act logically and then sometimes they just don't. But the beautiful thing about it is with marketing, you get to a part that's built into the industry, built into the field, is
mhm,
the experimentation and the research. You don't ever stop researching. You don't ever stop learning. I think that's why I love marketing, because it's endless. You're dealing with people. People
mhm,
never cease to amaze you. So I think it's that piece, right? The marketing expertise that I'm really focusing on your business. I can take one of those hats and really dive into it, maybe in some ways you don't know how or you don't have the time to. That's definitely an asset. And then aside from that, stepping into your CEO position, right? We all start businesses and we kind of all wear the hats, we kind of do everything.
mhm,
But to grow and scale a business, it's essential, like you just said, do what you do best and hire for the rest, because if the CEO of McDonald's was still flipping patties, we wouldn't have as many McDonald's.
That's right.
Like, he needed to hire somebody to come in and do the things that, so he can focus on what he needs to do.
Mhm,
So that's another piece, is bringing on the Hustle Lab and marketing is deeply connected to your sales and your business model. So essentially bringing in any marketing professional is always going to strengthen those two things, because if those things are weak, then your marketing doesn't really work. So
mhm,
specifically with the Hustle Lab, I take a well-rounded approach, which allows for you to kind of step into that CEO role and call the shots so that we can actually start getting things done, not just
mhm.
saying, oh, I know I want to reach this group of people, but I don't have time, so I'll get around to it. The Hustle Lab is on it, so it allows for you
So,
to be that.
I like that. Very, very a good way to explain it to our members and let them know that, you definitely, as you're running and operating a business, there are some costs that are like fixed costs. And, to me, marketing is like one of those fixed costs that you have to just account for it. So would you please describe like your agency's process in helping a client meet their marketing goals?
Yeah, so essentially, I'm big on communication. Like I said, very big on transparency. I come from a place where you don't play with people's money. So I knew when I got into it, like, be honest about what you're doing, and people will pay for it. And if they love you, they continue to come. So um with me, the first step is talking to you and making sure that we kind of fit, that I can deliver what you need. 9 times out of 10, I probably can. So what's your budget? What are you looking to do? Where are you at now? What have you done? How is that working for you? Going through those questions, that's typically what happens in a consultation. So
Mhm,
consultations are free. You book the consultation, we have that conversation. If we are a match and we fit really well, I know I can do something for you, or um, I go ahead and I tell you, okay, let's work. In that case, I essentially set up, okay, this is what I'm thinking based off of what you told me, based off of your budget. Social media is a good platform or a good way, a good strategy. And then we get into what platform specifically. So is YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or Twitter. And then I might say, hey, you also need an email list. So we'll combine this social media strategy with this email marketing strategy,
mhm,
and then we start getting into the tactics, and I really break that down for you. You give me the go, you sign the contract, you say I'm ready, and I go to work, and I essentially say this is what you can expect from me. And I say, you give me access to your social media so I can post on your behalf, or
mhm,
access to your email marketing platform so I can send emails out on your behalf. But I always try to make sure, hey, how are you feeling about this? I'm going to send this out, try to get those notions of approval, because I know how important it is for your brand to be represented how you want and need it to be.
mhm.
So essentially that's what it looks like. So consultation, I build you a strategy, I build out that marketing funnel, you give me oh, that sounds great, cool. We get to work and I'm on it from there. And then every month we're doing a maintenance call, client communication, really focusing on here's what worked last month. I have the data, here's the engagement rate, here's the top performers. What would you like to be looking forward to? So maybe you say in 6 months, I want to increase my customer size by 50%, and then I start to say, okay, well, we have 6 months to get this goal done. Here's what we've been doing well. Let's leverage what we've done well. Let's get rid of what's not really working and continue to build, continue to experiment, and continue to research. So that's really what the process looks like.
That's fantastic. And that just seems, so highly professional. And as a small business owner, speaking from myself, that, we want those numbers and to understand the analytics and what's working and what's not working. And again, I might sound like a broken record, but members, I hope y'all paying attention to the valuable jewels that Akeya is providing to us, that you certainly, when it comes to your marketing, in my opinion, it is a fixed cost and you need to hire a professional, retain a professional. So, I mean, it works. I use her services myself. And again, I said that I would try to be very objective, but, I just want to let the members know from, personal experience, so they understand that, people that we're bringing in front of them, that we use their services as well, and it works. And, this young lady is highly professional. And, again, thank you for sharing that particular answer with us. Please briefly explain how your agency measures the success of a marketing campaign.
Yeah, so definitely we take a qualitative and a quantitative approach. So qualitative is going to be what people are saying. So that's going to be your comment section, or if you've gotten any DMs. And so if we're on social media, or maybe you hear like you say, oh yeah, my friend checked out my website. They said they love it. So that's going to be some of the things that, kind of are more testimonials, reviews of things. And then the quantitative results is where I actually go in with my business degree, my background, and the numbers, right? So I build this Excel spreadsheet and I break it down. So what are your engagement rates, if that's one of the things that we're using for social media? How is your community growing? So are you seeing more email subscribers? Are you seeing more social media followers? So a lot of it is broken down into numbers so that I can communicate to you, yeah, here's our qualitative, here's what I hear people saying, here's the buzz around it. And that's kind of that PR piece of marketing. And then here's the quantitative, which is the numbers, which is like, okay, if we did, let's say, for example, there's organic and paid marketing. So organic is free, something that happens just as you do it over the course of time. Paid is obviously like, paying for ad space, paying for a commercial, paying for a billboard, those kind of things. So what I like to do is,
real quick, Akeya, is it important to do both? Or is it like a one or another type of thing, like paid advertisement versus organic?
Personally, myself, I like a combination of the two of them. I like both.
That makes sense.
And the ratio is going to vary depending on your business and your community size. So let's say, for example, we have a social media page, you have an Instagram, you've been creating free content, and you notice this particular style of post or this particular kind of post is going to get, let's just say, 20% engagement every time you've posted it. Well, then we kind of know and we can predict, hey, if I pay for ad space and the ad manager is telling me that I can expect to see, let's just say 1,000 people will see this ad, then I know 20% of 1,000 people are going to engage with this ad. And then over time, as we experiment, then I can also calculate conversion rates, which is when someone sees a post, how many people buy. So if I can figure that out organically, when you go to do a paid promotion, I can say, hey, out of last time we did this organically, 5% of people bought. Okay, hey, when we launch this ad out to 1,000 people, I know 5% of people are going to buy. Here's how many customers we can expect from this ad. So that's kind of how we look at campaigns, as well as we look at your goals. So if you tell me your goal is, I just want to get my name out there, that's what a lot of business owners say, which in the marketing world is called brand awareness. So your goal is to get your name out there, and I start to see, hey, it's comments, people are sharing your posts, people are visiting your website, and I know that I'm doing my job. Your name is getting out there, people are seeing you. So it's kind of twofold, looking at the numbers and like, what are we doing? Are we improving? Are we stagnant? Are we decreasing? How do we fix that if we're decreasing? And then on the other side of it is, what was the goal that we set in the beginning, and are we achieving that? Yeah.
Should a client of yours expect overnight success? Like, should they expect like, okay, I hire your services now, tomorrow we're gonna blow up? Is that like something real? Or is it like about setting, and how important is it to set realistic expectations on marketing and hiring and retaining a agency such as yours?
So I'll take a step back. And I think that in our community, in our world with social media, virality or going viral is like something everybody wants to do. But I think a lot of people, we should have more of a conversation about what really going viral is. It just means a bunch of people are seeing you at once. Right. And what happens with that is when things explode, they also fizzle out fast. So that's my segue into the fact that no, don't expect overnight success, because overnight success really is probably not what you want. Because in reality, let's say you were to go viral today, right? Let's say I'm a business owner, and let's just say I sell a product and I go viral today and 1 million people see it. Do you really have the capacity to handle 1 million people, 1 million orders, right?
Orders, right, like right now. Excellent point.
Yeah. And so it's like, if 1 million people order from your site, could you really fulfill that? And realistically, that's bad marketing, because if 1 million people order from your site and it takes you 6 months to fulfill those orders, well, then essentially you've on the back end, you've done great in getting the people there, but you're not going to keep them. It took you too long to fulfill the orders. So everything in due time, everything in a process, everything has to like kind of blend together. Like it has to glue together, mesh together, cohesion. So essentially with marketing, you're always playing the long game because you want a long lasting relationship. It's very expensive to get new customers. It's a lot cheaper for you as a business owner, period, regardless of what industry you're in, to have that same customer buy 1 million times rather than get 1 million new customers. So in marketing,
that's an excellent point.
Building a relationship and a long-lasting relationship. I mean, think about, sometimes you even pass marketing relationships on to your kids. Like, think about, you might use the same soap that your mom bought when you were a kid, just simply because that's what your mom bought when you were a kid. And now they have 2 lifelong customers, right? So it's all about the long game. As a small business owner, being one myself, if 1 million people came to book consultations, I would be stressed because it just doesn't make sense for my model to have that huge boom. Yeah.
And sometimes you can burst at the seams.
Yeah.
Okay. And now earlier, you were speaking on like time versus savings and how that correlates or benefit a entrepreneur. So if you could enumerate a little bit more about, how important like time versus savings, outsourcing your marketing to a firm such as yours, because ultimately you want to have a comprehensive, marketing plan. So, how important is that overall?
Okay. So that's always the age old, like, do I pay someone to do this or do I DIY it? And a lot of times, I've even been guilty of it. Like I said, I'm 10 years in, and I have had several product and service-based businesses in that time. And DIYing your marketing, a lot of times for me, looked like spending till 2 a.m. trying to figure out or make this website and stuff like that. And in reality, when you get to a point where you're just like, I'm tired, like I have nothing else to give, right? I've been up to 2 a.m. since I've been up to 2 a.m. since last week, right? And you're not sleeping. And I realized for me, when everybody says, oh, I love the freedom that entrepreneurship gives me, a part of that freedom for me was time freedom. So when you talk about time and money in the sense of marketing, what is it that you really started your business to do, right? So if you started your business to spend more time with your kids or to go on vacation more or to have more flexibility with your schedule, but then you turn around and you're working 36-hour like spans of time, did you really get that time freedom, right? So it's all based on the person. If you don't mind working long hours, then the savings would be better for you, right? You can DIY and figure it out. But like you said before, do what you do best and hire for the rest. So when you bring in a marketing agency, you're taking that task off of your plate. You also don't have to train a marketing agency. They come prepared, they come ready to go. So the hours you would have been spending on YouTube trying to figure it out or reading, trying to figure it out, they've already done that and they come prepared and ready to start. So it's all based on what you want. And I think a lot of people want that time freedom. That's why a lot of people get into entrepreneurship. Also with building generational wealth, right? So when building generational wealth, I realized you could build an amazing business, but if you're not helping your kids understand what that even means, if you're not helping the generation after you understand what that means, that you've built this business and that they're gonna be able to take over it one day. If you're not helping them understand that, have you really built generational wealth? Because when it comes time for them to take it over, you didn't have the time because you were YouTubing how to build your marketing plan. You didn't have the time to do it. So yeah, so time versus savings, it depends on your goals. And I think we all started for the time aspect of entrepreneurship, to not be on someone else's schedule, to be able to take vacations when I want. When I get sick, I don't have to call and say, hey, I need a sick day. I can take my sick day. So to be able to do that, that's where a marketing agency comes in, because they come prepared, and anybody they bring on their team is prepared to ready to go, trained professionals, and they take it off of your plate.
That's right. Okay, well, I get that because, again, for the DIYers out there, you need to understand, like in the beginning, I get the nuances of, maybe the capital was not there, you're doing certain things by yourself, but it gets to a certain point when you're looking to scale and you're looking to grow, part of this are going to be where you're turning things over to the professionals. It's no different than, because I know how to change a tire or put a new battery in my car, like I'm not going to put a new motor in my car. Like it gets to a certain point where you have to take it to a professional mechanic and let them do what they do best. So I certainly get that settlement. And I wanted to really re-emphasize that to the members, because I think a part of some of the issues in the Black community, and again, I'm speaking about us as a whole, not singling out anyone, is that a lot of us feel it's the do it by myself or have the do it by myself attitude. Everything is about, can I do it by myself, or I'm going to do it by myself to show everybody. And I'm a firm believer of ethno aggregation, where, it's like that old sentiment, it takes a village to raise a child. So it's the same thing with business. It's about collaboration and teaming up and one hand helping the other. So I certainly appreciate you resharing that settlement with us again. Now, I guess the big question is that what a lot of people ultimately want to know is, how much will it cost? So, and I know that's like a loaded question, because there's different circumstances. You might meet people where they're at based off of their needs. But if you can just, I guess, give an overall answer to that question, like, is it crazy expensive, or is it kind of nominal where, it's not that expensive as we think it is?
So first I'll take a step back and I'll say there's 3 ways that you can get marketing help, right? So we talked about the DIY, you can do it yourself. You can you can bring an in-house marketer in, which means you're going to have to train them and provide them benefits, or you can bring in the agency, which comes ready to go. Essentially, you're just paying for the services that they provide you.
Right.
So with that being said, we kind of already talked about, when you say how much will it cost, we kind of already talked about what's at stake when you do it yourself. You're only one person. You can only be one place, right? And then with the in-house marketer, that's a range of salaries, but also coming, like you said, you have to pay for the benefits and everything else. So with the agency, personally myself, and not speaking from a biased perspective, the agency often offers the cheapest option because not only do you get your time freedom, but then you also don't have to provide an agency with benefits. They're their own entity, so they handle their own benefits. So the agency model is often the cheapest option.
Hip hop. Let's go talk a little bit about hip hop because I mean, hip hop, man, it's into everything, commercials, and as you're watching commercials, that's like on television, for example, or even on YouTube, that's somebody marketing. Like that's what these commercials are, and you hear hip hop. So, how has hip hop, in your opinion, influenced digital marketing as a whole these days? Or, with you being a younger entrepreneur, and not to be stereotypical or stereotype you as a young entrepreneur, but I myself, I'm an older entrepreneur and I still love hip hop. So, it's how does like hip hop influence digital marketing these days?
Yeah, so that's just an amazing question because hip hop grew me. Being from Trenton, New Jersey, and having the
Yes.
parents that I have, hip hop grew me. So
Right,
it's
right.
crazy you say that because
Shout out to your parents too.
so it's like I'm thinking of the Jay-Z line where he was like, I'm trying to give you $1 million worth of game for $9.99. Like hip hop, honestly, you see so many people, that's a business. And you get people like Jay-Z and J. Cole and Kendrick that speak on the business and the pitfalls. So personally, for me, hip hop has influenced how I look at, because ultimately marketing is understanding people. So that's nothing but, songs tell you nothing but how people think, what they're going through, especially hip hop being such a unique genre where it's a lot of storytelling, it's a lot of narratives. So it can really help you understand people. But aside from my personal love of hip hop and the things that I've learned from hip hop and artists, and listening to Jay-Z kind of talk about, like, this is where, he made investments and he made this move so that he could be at the place. And for him to even be Jay-Z, he had to market himself. He had to do the PR, so to think about things like that on a personal level is amazing for me. And I always incorporate it because that's who I am. Like, this is why you get the professionalism that you get, is because I grew up on hip hop. Like it comes with it, it's inclusive. But in an overall, answering the question, in the overarching theme of hip hop, you look at things like TikTok. TikTok is like booming right now. So people can see a lot of growth, right? A lot of that is influenced by hip hop songs. Why? Because hip hop, it brings in your senses. That's what it does. That's what a story does, right? I hear the beat. I see the visual that you put with it. I might even hear the words. I might get a feeling. Like there's some songs now to this day that I listen to and it's like chills, or a song might remind me of a happier time. Even some older hip hop, it reminds me of my parents. It reminds me of, oh, this is when my dad took me to the park and he used to play this in the car. And then, that's nostalgia. And nostalgia is an amazing marketing tool. You see it a lot of times with like, especially jewelry companies love to use it. You see nostalgia a lot, happiness. Even if you're a person with a storefront, right? You have music playing. People are more likely to shop because they jam it. They like, yeah, I know this song, and they picking up shirts and they're there because it's a good time. Music creates that good time feeling. So in marketing, hip hop is amazing. Hip hop, we already know that hip hop heavily influences pop culture, but it's no different in marketing, right? Because of how it makes you feel, and the things that you can relate it to, and just how music touches you in general. So hip hop is amazing in marketing, and I love that. Especially looking in different fields, different industries, how you can leverage hip hop to achieve a marketing goal, or to achieve a feeling that you want your audience to feel when they look at your content.
And you're so right, because it's like I could be, not to mention any company names, but I could watch a commercial and then it's like a hip hop beat and they're like walking through a field of flowers. But it's like a hip hop beat. It's like I'm looking like, oh my gosh, hip hop is everywhere.
Yeah.
So with that being said, what's your top five hip hop artists? Or
Ooh, that's hard for
what's
me.
your top five? Or just I guess I don't know if it transcends across eras, or let's
Yeah,
go
it
with
does.
five that you listen to.
Okay, my five that I'm listening to, Jay-Z is up there, J. Cole,
Mm-hmm,
Kendrick.
mm-hmm,
Then I have some Meek Mill
mm-hmm.
and G Herbo right now. Those are my five I've
Dope,
been
dope,
listening
dope. I think that's a dope combination. They cross the eras, and I think those are all people. Like shout out to J. Cole. He has an album I think coming out this week.
to. Yeah.
For those that are listening, not sure when this is going to air, but we're in the week of May 10th, and he has a new album coming out that's supposed to be dope. He released a new song, and I saw some of the visuals with Kendrick Lamar, and he was like in the videos changing the people's, like he was like Martin,
Hmm.
Martin Luther King, and it's just like the way hip hop is growing, how it's into the pop culture as you spoke about, and how it influenced digital marketing. So once again, I think that's dope. I think that's a dope five. I can't argue against that one. So in my closing remarks, Akeya, it's certainly been a pleasure speaking with you today. And I know that you're passionate about using your education, your skill sets, and your wealth of knowledge and bringing it back to the underserved and those who may not have access to the tools and information. Why is it important for young people such as yourself? Because, with the education and the skill set and the way that you articulate, you could probably be working for a Fortune 500 company right now, but you chose to grind it out and do the entrepreneur avenue. And I wish you all the success as an entrepreneur. But, why is it important for young people such as yourself to give back to the underserved? And why do you feel so much fulfillment in giving back to the underserved and the unforgotten, or the communities that are often forgotten about?
Man, that's a question that could be a whole interview for me. But
Mm-hmm,
coming from where I come from, period.
mm-hmm,
Coming from Trenton, New Jersey, humble beginnings.
mm-hmm.
I'm the first to do a lot of things in my family, and I think that I just want to give that to other people.